this is a tough conference in terms of picking out some of the easier schedules. Like, because it feels like every time an SEC team has an easy, light SEC schedule relative to the SEC, they have a tough out of conference game. I'm looking at Texas, right? You look at their SEC schedule, and it benefited them last year, and you're like, that's not super tough. You do play Georgia on the road, right? But then you open up going to Columbus to play Ohio State. So it's like, okay, it's not them, right? So you and I talked about this. We kind of came down to two, maybe three, right? Auburn was in the mix. Missouri was in the mix. And I believe we agreed upon Tennessee being the toughest or the easiest schedule in the SEC. And you know what? That sounds crazy. And you probably haven't even thought about that at all, right? But here's how. I mean, they went 10-2 last year, and they didn't have a super tough schedule. I took their over on their win total, and it cashed absolutely freely. Over on a win total was at 8.5. I believe it's at 7.5 this year. Got questions at quarterback. You got a lot of talent moving over. New special teams coordinator over there after your guy left to go to Oregon. So, Shady, why do you think Tennessee is the easiest schedule in the SEC?
Well, I mean, it is, and it's interesting because you look at
It
it
might
and you
be.
see Georgia and Alabama, and you're like, well, and even Florida on the road, who wants to do
Yeah.
that? But the reality is, like, with the expanded conference, with adding Texas and Oklahoma, you're gonna have some kind of giants, right? Big top 10 power rated teams, on your schedule, and that's where you see your your Georgia and your Alabama. I just like the way it also flows too, out of conference wise. You've get I think it's a neutral site in Atlanta against Syracuse. You've got a couple of cupcakes in East Tennessee State and UAB. No disrespect to those programs, but obviously not going to be too big of a challenge for the Volunteers. And then like the way it works out dynamically, right? Georgia at home this year, and you're looking at that being like kind of a standalone game in terms of you're not going to be too beat up from East Tennessee State right there week before that. And then Alabama is it's a bye. Arkansas, which is be a physical game for sure, but that's also at home. And then you go play Alabama, and then even like your slip up game after that when you're beat down from the third Saturday in October is Kentucky, who you
Who is,
know
we haven't gotten to our previews yet, but
it's
they could be the worst team in the SEC.
yeah.
They literally could be.
And then you come back home with Oklahoma, and who knows how they're going to be. Obviously, a lot of optimism there, a lot of urgency there as well. But and then the bye, and then you finish off with New Mexico State, Florida, and Vanderbilt. Florida is a tough game on the road, obviously, no doubt about that. But you go up to Florida's schedule, and they have a gauntlet, and they're going to be exhausted. They're going to be after a stretch that Florida is playing Georgia, and that in Jacksonville, Kentucky, on the road, and then Ole Miss on the road, and then they got to come back and play Tennessee before gearing up to play their rival over there at Florida State. So just the way that dynamics kind of unfold, and not that they're going to win all these games, they're going to go 10-2 and go to the playoffs, but it is a playoff type caliber. Walk your way almost as much as you can to the playoffs this year. Not that they're going to do that. I don't think they will, and we'll talk about it more as we get in the summer with Tennessee. But yeah,
Their over on win total is 8.5. I think I said 7.5 earlier, but it is juiced a little bit to the under. So be careful taking the over on that too, because we don't know what the situation looks like at quarterback there. But I'm with you for all of the reasons that CD just talked about. Tennessee could be, maybe it won't be in hindsight when we get to December, but it could be the easiest schedule in the SEC in 2025.
the teams you want
Let's
to
head
play
over
real
to,
quick in the SEC. I'm sorry, teams you want to play in
oh
the
yeah,
SEC, right? Like it's Vanderbilt,
yep,
Mississippi State, and Kentucky,
yep,
right? And you
yep.
get two of
Those are
them.
three. Mm-hmm. And someone could argue Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to be a little bit better than people think. It's a little preview to the SEC previews, but you also get them at home. And the guys on the team last year that lost to Arkansas, you think they're going to put up with that at home? No way, no way. They're probably gonna let them know. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna let them know.